The sky over Lareth glowed with strange colors that shifted from deep blue to bright purple. The planet was beautiful and peaceful. Green forests stretched for miles, and the cities were full of tall, smooth buildings that shone in the sunlight. People walked in the streets calmly. Life on Lareth had always been quiet, but tonight, the quiet was broken. Saren, a young Larethi diplomat, stood at the edge of the observation tower in the capital city. Her long silver hair flowed in the wind. She watched the stars above, her heart heavy. The Larathi Council had just sent a desperate signal across the galaxy. A neighboring species called the Voruan had attacked their outer colonies. Small towns had been burned. Many Larathi were dead, and the Council feared the worst. They were asking for help from the strongest civilizations they knew. Saren pressed her hand to the glass. "Will anyone hear us?" she whispered. She had been trained to be calm, to hide her fear, but the fear was real. She had seen what the Vorun could do. Their ships were large and armed with weapons that could destroy entire cities. The Larathi were not ready to fight them. They had hoped for aid from the nearby star systems. Fleets from more advanced species might arrive. But she knew the chances were small. Most civilizations ignored small calls for help if they did not benefit them. Far across the galaxy, on a planet called Earth, a small fleet of human ships orbited the planet quietly. The ships were rough and not polished like the fleets of other civilizations. They were called Deathworlders because humans came from a harsh, dangerous planet. Humans were used to surviving in places where nothing was easy. Commander Alex Carter, a tall man with short brown hair and sharp eyes, stood on the bridge of the main ship. His hands rested on the railing as he listened to the new distress signal that had arrived. "It's from Larath," said Ryan Cole, the tactical officer. He was young but smart, with dark hair and quick hands. "They are asking for help. Their colonies are under attack by the Vorun." Alex nodded. He felt a strange pull in his chest. Humans had received many calls for help before, but this one was different. The Larathi were peaceful, innocent. They did not fight much. They were not prepared to face a deadly species like the Voruan. He looked at Lena Brooks, the pilot, who was sitting nearby. Her short hair framed her determined face. "We go," Alex said simply. "We can't sit here while they die." Lena nodded. "I thought you'd say that." She checked the navigation systems. The route to Lareth was long, but the humans were ready. They had survived many dangerous journeys before. The human fleet left Earth quietly. Their ships moved through the stars like shadows. They were fast and strong. Humans were used to taking risks that others would never consider. As they traveled, Alex looked at the stars and thought of what awaited them. Lareth was far from Earth. It was a peaceful planet, and its people had never seen war like humans had. He wondered if they would be ready for humans when they arrived. When the humans first appeared over Lareth, the Council was shocked. Sleek, polished alien fleets were expected. Instead, rough, heavily armored ships hovered above the capital city. Smoke rose from the outer towns, and the council members whispered among themselves. They had not expected help from Earth, a distant, harsh planet. Many Larathi had heard stories of humans being dangerous, unpredictable. They called them Deathworlders for a reason. Saren watched the human ships arrive. Her heart pounded. The humans were different from any beings she had seen before. They moved confidently. They did not hesitate. Even from a distance, Saren could feel the strength in them. She turned to the council. "They came," she said quietly. They answered. One of the council members, an older Larathi named Iriel, frowned. His skin shimmered pale blue in the sunlight. "They are dangerous," he said. "We asked for help, not this." They are not like us. Saren shook her head. We have no choice. If we do not accept their help, our people will die. Alex ordered his ships to form a landing pattern. Human dropships descended toward the cities. The Larathi citizens watched in awe. They had never seen beings like humans close up. The humans moved carefully, but there was a sense of strength in every step they took. Ryan and Lena were the first to step off the dropships. Their uniforms were simple and functional. Their eyes scanned the city and the surrounding forests. Where do we start? Ryan asked Alex. We find the leaders, Alex said. Then we see how bad it is. Saren met the humans for the first time. She stepped forward from the crowd. I am Saren, she said. Her voice was soft but firm. We are grateful you came. Alex smiled faintly. We are here to help. Tell us where you need us most. The Larathi hesitated. They had not expected humans to be so straightforward, so calm. The humans did not demand anything. They did not look for glory. They just wanted to help. Saren felt a spark of hope. Maybe these Deathworlders were different from the stories she had heard. Unamarted it. The humans began to assess the situation. They moved through the city, checking structures for damage. They spoke with citizens, asking simple questions. They were polite, but efficient. Alex noticed that many Larathi were too frightened to speak. He nodded to Ryan. We need to show them humans can be trusted, he said. Ryan thought for a moment. Then, we do what humans do best. We protect, we help, we survive. They began by clearing debris from streets. Ryan lifted a heavy beam that had fallen on a building entrance. Larathi citizens gasped. They had never seen such raw strength. Children ran alongside the humans, laughing as the beam was set aside. Saren watched and felt a new kind of respect for these strange beings. Humans were not just strong, they cared. They risked themselves to save others. Lena flew her small craft over the outskirts of the city. She scanned for signs of Voruan activity. Her eyes caught movement near one of the villages. She reported it to Alex immediately. The Voruan were preparing for a full attack. They would come faster than anyone had expected. Alex frowned. He turned to Saren. We need to prepare your people. They cannot fight alone. Saren nodded. We will follow you. Your ways are strange. But if you say we can survive, we will try. The council met with Alex and his team. Some Larathi were still wary. They whispered among themselves, worried that the humans might cause more harm than good. But Alex spoke calmly. He explained his plan, simple and clear. They would train the Larathi to defend themselves, even in small ways. They would organize evacuations. They would be ready when the Voruan came. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of red and gold, Saren looked at the humans. She realized that the Larathi had been wrong about Deathworlders. They were not reckless or cruel. They were fighters. Yes, but fighters who protected those who could not defend themselves. She felt hope growing in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, Larath could survive. The night was quiet, but it did not feel empty. Human lights moved through the city like protective stars. The Larathi citizens began to come out of their homes, watching the humans work. Children followed Ryan as he cleared rubble. Older citizens helped set up temporary shelters. The humans taught them simple ways to stay safe. Saren saw her people slowly regain courage. She approached Alex. Your people, they are different from what I imagined, she said. Alex nodded. Our world is harsh. We learned to survive, but we also learned to care. We do not abandon others in danger. That is what we are. Saren smiled faintly. For the first time since the signal had been sent, she felt that survival was possible. The humans had come when no one else would. They were dangerous. Yes, but they were also hope. Far above the city, the stars shone brightly. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders. The Voruan were coming, but Lareth would not face them alone. Humans were here. Deathworlders from Earth had come, not to conquer, not to take, but to fight for life. And for the first time, in a long time, Saren felt that the future could be bright. The humans continued their work through the night. The Larathi slowly began to understand them. Humans did not seek praise. They acted. They protected. They endured. And Saren knew that when the Vorun attacked, it would not just be the Larathi who fought. It would be humans too. And together, maybe they could change the fate of the planet. The next morning, the sun rose over Lareth, casting warm light on the city and the surrounding forests. Human ships hovered quietly above, while human teams moved through the streets. Alex, Ryan, and Lena had begun their work in earnest. They had to understand the situation fully if they were going to save the planet from the Vorun attack. Alex walked alongside Saren through the city streets. Rubble from the previous attacks had been cleared in part, but many buildings were still damaged. Citizens were returning to their daily lives cautiously, watching the humans carefully. They had never seen beings like Alex and his team before. Humans were tall, strong, and confident. But their actions were gentle. They helped without complaint, carried heavy loads, and organized citizens to rebuild what had been broken. "We need to see the villages outside the city," Alex said to Saren. "That's where the Voron will strike first. Your people there are most at risk." Saren nodded. She led him and Ryan to a transport ship. Lena stayed behind to manage the city defenses. The transport lifted into the air, its engines humming softly. As they flew over the forests, the scale of the destruction became clear. Smoke rose from some villages. Others had been abandoned. Fields had been trampled. And livestock were gone. Larathi farmers watched from a distance, afraid to approach. Ryan looked down. "They are lucky we arrived when we did," he said. "If we had come later, most of them would be dead." Alex frowned. "We cannot just save them. We have to prepare them. The Vorun will come again, and we cannot rely on luck." Alex. They landed near one of the smaller villages. Larathi. Citizens had gathered, wary and uncertain. Children clung to their parents, and elders watched with sad eyes. Many had never handled weapons or trained for combat. Humans carried simple tools and basic supplies. They began unloading medical kits, food, and water, giving the villagers hope. Saren introduced Alex to the village leader, a middle-aged Larathi named Talon. He had deep green skin and calm eyes. "We do not know if we can fight," Talon said softly. "Our people are not warriors. We are peaceful. We cannot stop the Voruun." Alex smiled gently. "Peaceful is good. It means you care about life, but you have to fight to protect it. We will teach you simple ways to survive, not to be soldiers like us, but to save yourselves and your families." He and Ryan began training the villagers. They showed them how to move quietly, how to build barriers with what they had, and how to help each other in dangerous situations. The Larathi were quick learners, but fear still ran through them. Many had never handled a weapon before. They were not used to thinking about enemies who wanted to kill them. Saren watched as the villagers trained under human guidance. She was amazed at how patient Alex and Ryan were. They encouraged each person, corrected mistakes gently, and never lost calm. 71. Even when villagers struggled, the humans never showed frustration. Saren began to understand why humans survived on harsh planets. They learned to adapt, to endure, and to help each other. In the sky above, Lena flew over the nearby forest. She scanned for Vorun movements, her eyes sharp. She noticed strange shapes moving quickly. She realized the Vorun scouts were approaching. She sent a warning to Alex and Ryan immediately. "They are coming sooner than we thought," she said when they regrouped. "They know we are here. They are testing the village defenses." Alex nodded. "Then we prepare. We cannot let them surprise anyone." The humans and Lerathi worked quickly. They built simple barricades and set up warning systems. Villagers learned to run to safe spots if they heard alarms. Alex divided the villagers into small groups and assigned simple tasks to each. Even the youngest children had a role. Some helped carry water and food. Others learned to help the wounded. Every person had a job. Everyone mattered. As the day wore on, tension grew. The villagers could see the horizon where the Vorun were gathering. Tall, dark ships hovered in the sky. Alien soldiers marched with precision, their weapons ready. The Lerathi feared the coming battle. Many whispered to each other, worried they would die despite the humans' presence. Saren stayed close to Alex. "Can they really stop the Vorun?" she asked quietly. "They are so few, compared to the enemy." Alex looked at her calmly. "It is not about numbers. It is about courage, preparation, and knowing how to survive. Humans fight even when the odds are against them. And they do not fight alone. Now, you are part of this fight too." The humans led the villagers through a simulation of the coming attack. They showed them where to hide, how to signal each other, and how to help those in danger. Villagers who had once been terrified began to move with purpose. Even elders gave instructions to younger people. Saren could see the change in their faces. Hope was growing. At night, the humans and Lerathi gathered around small fires. Alex and Ryan shared simple stories of Earth, of humans surviving in deserts, jungles, and frozen lands. The villagers listened, amazed that beings from another planet could endure so much and still care for others. They began to see the humans not as dangerous outsiders, but as protectors. Saren approached Alex again. "Your people, they are not like we imagined," she said. "You are fierce, but also kind. You protect even when it is dangerous." Alex nodded. "That is what it means to survive. You help those who cannot help themselves. That is the strength of humans from Deathworlds. We endure, and we protect." The next morning, the humans prepared for the first real clash. They had built simple fortifications and trained the villagers in basic defense. The Vorun were approaching quickly, their ships dark against the rising sun. Human scouts reported enemy movements constantly. Every hour, the threat grew closer. Alex gathered the villagers. "Today will be difficult," he said. "The Vorun will come. They are strong, but you have something they do not. You know your homes, your families, your friends, and you have humans beside you. Remember what we taught you. Stay together, protect each other, and survive. That is victory." The villagers nodded. Some looked scared, but determination shone in their eyes. They had learned to trust humans, and they had learned that they could fight, even in small ways, to protect what they loved. As the Vorun ships appeared over the horizon, Alex and his team took positions. Ryan manned a barricade, lifting heavy debris to strengthen the village perimeter. Lena flew above, scouting enemy movements and coordinating defenses. Saren stayed with the villagers, helping them move to safe positions. The first skirmish began with Vorun scouts entering the forest near the village. They moved quickly, expecting the villagers to flee. Instead, they encountered human fighters and trained Lerathi. Small but effective traps slowed the enemy. Warning signals alerted others to the approach of more troops. The Vorun were surprised. They had expected easy prey. Alex led a small team to intercept the scouts. Humans moved with precision and strength, protecting villagers as they advanced. Ryan lifted fallen trees to block enemy paths. Even the youngest Larathi, who had been trained, helped, running messages and carrying supplies. Every action counted. Saren watched in awe. Humans fought not for glory, but to save others. They took risks, yes, but always for protection. She felt hope grow stronger. Maybe Lareth could survive after all. The humans had come not to dominate or control, but to protect. That made them different from any other species she had seen. As the sun rose higher, the villagers became more confident. They followed the humans' instructions, helping where they could. The first wave of Vorun's scouts was repelled. The humans had shown the Larathi that even a small group could stand against the enemy if they worked together and trusted one another. Alex looked at the villagers. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The Vorun will come again, bigger and stronger. But now you know you can survive. You have strength you never realized." Saren smiled faintly. For the first time, she felt that survival was possible. Humans had not only come, they had taught her people to fight for their own lives. She understood something important. Courage was not about not feeling fear. It was about acting even when you were afraid, and protecting those who could not protect themselves. The humans continued their work, moving from village to village, training and preparing. Lareth was dangerous, and the Vorun would not wait. But with humans by their side, the Larathi now had hope. They would fight. They would survive. And they would do so with the strength and heart of the Deathworlders who had come from Earth to save them. The morning sky over Lareth was pale orange, but the calm of the sunrise was deceiving. The Vorun were coming in full force. Large ships darkened the horizon, and alien soldiers marched in precise lines toward the villages. Humans and Larathi alike felt the tension. The quiet before the storm pressed on everyone's minds. Alex stood at the edge of the village, looking at the approaching enemy. Beside him, Ryan and Lena checked equipment and supplies. The villagers gathered, some trembling, others determined to defend their homes. Saren moved among them, calming fears and giving instructions learned from the humans. She had grown quickly under their guidance, learning to organize, motivate, and think clearly under pressure. "Remember your training," Alex said firmly to the villagers. "Stay together, protect each other, follow instructions. You do not need to fight like the Vorun. You need to survive and help each other survive." Ryan checked a barricade of logs and debris. "They are coming fast. We have to be ready to move at the first sign of trouble." Lena lifted off in her small fighter craft. She flew over the village and the surrounding forests, scanning for enemy movements. She spotted groups of Vorun soldiers advancing in uneven lines. "They are spread out, not coordinated yet," she reported. "We can slow them down and protect the villagers." Alex nodded. "Good. Then we divide our forces. Humans will handle the main attacks. Larathi will protect the shelters and follow instructions. No one fights alone. Renting 100 process. Renting 100. Renting 100. Renting 100 process. The first wave of Vorun soldiers entered the outskirts of the village. They moved quickly, expecting easy targets. Instead, they found humans and Larathi ready. Simple barricades slowed them. Warning signals alerted villagers to retreat or help. Small groups of Larathi, guided by Ryan and Alex, used ropes and logs to create traps. They were not trained soldiers, but they were clever and determined. Alex and his team moved with precision. He carried a heavy shield and used it to protect villagers, while Ryan moved fallen trees to block the enemy. Lena swooped overhead, firing energy pulses to push the Vorun back. The enemy was surprised by the humans' speed and coordination. They expected disorganized, weak targets, not fighters who acted with strategy and courage. Saren ran between villagers, helping them move to safe areas. She carried a child whose leg had been hurt by falling debris. The child looked at her with wide eyes, and Saren smiled. "You are safe now," she said. "Follow us, and you will be okay." The battle grew intense. The Vorun sent more troops. Larger groups this time. Their weapons were deadly, and some humans and Larathi took hits. Alex moved through the chaos, directing fighters and helping the wounded. He saw villagers who had been afraid yesterday, now lifting logs, carrying water, and moving supplies to help. Their fear had turned into determination. Ryan shouted as a group of Vorun soldiers broke through a barricade. He lifted a heavy beam, throwing it to block their path. "Get back!" he yelled. And the soldiers stumbled, giving villagers time to escape. Humans fought not for glory, but for the protection of others. Their courage inspired the Larathi. Many who had once cowered now moved with purpose, helping where they could. Lena's fighters swooped low, blasting enemy squads and drawing attention away from vulnerable villagers. She was quick, precise, and fearless. Even though she faced deadly weapons, she never hesitated. Her actions saved dozens of lives. Saren noticed that the humans were different from anything the Larathi had ever seen. They were strong, yes, but they also cared deeply. They risked themselves to protect others. This was not like other species, who often fought only for power or honor. Humans fought for life itself, for survival, and for those who could not defend themselves. As the day progressed, the battle spread across the village and surrounding fields. Humans and Larathi worked together seamlessly. Alex directed small groups, ensuring that every villager had a safe route and that the wounded were moved to shelters. Ryan continued to build barricades and lift heavy objects to block the Vorun. Lena flew constant patrols, taking down enemy soldiers and providing warnings of new attacks. The villagers learned quickly. They set up warning systems, guided children and elders to safe areas, and even helped carry supplies to where they were needed most. Each person had a role, and together they formed a small but effective defense. They were not soldiers, but humans had taught them that courage and cooperation could make a difference. Saren saw a young Larathi girl trapped under a fallen beam. She ran forward, and Alex joined her. Together, they lifted the beam, freeing the child. She looked up at them with wide eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Alex nodded. "You are safe now. Stay with your family." The girl ran to her parents, and Saren felt hope. Even in the chaos of battle, life could be saved. The Vorun realized their first attacks had failed. They regrouped, sending larger forces toward the village. They were stronger, faster, and more coordinated, but humans were ready. Alex ordered a counterattack. He and Ryan led small squads to engage the Vorun, while Lena provided air support. The humans moved with careful strategy, never leaving villagers exposed. Their teamwork was precise, and their courage was unmatched. Saren stayed with the villagers, keeping them calm and helping wherever she could. She gave instructions, guided people to safe zones, and assisted the wounded. She had never imagined she could do so much in a battle, but humans had taught her that everyone could help in some way. Courage was not only for fighters, it was for anyone who acted to protect others. The battle raged for hours. Smoke and dust filled the air. The Vorun were relentless, but humans and Larathi were determined. Villagers who had been afraid yesterday now carried supplies, helped the wounded, and reinforced barricades. Each action, no matter how small, made a difference. The humans inspired the Larathi. showing them that even when the enemy seemed overwhelming, courage and cooperation could turn the tide. Alex saw a group of Vorun soldiers trying to flank the village. He led a small human squad to intercept them. Ryan carried a heavy log to block the path, while Alex and the others engaged the enemy directly. The fight was fierce. But the humans' strength and strategy prevailed. The villagers watched in awe. Some even cheered quietly as the Vorun retreated. Lena continued her patrol, taking down enemy squads and guiding human reinforcements where needed. She moved with speed and precision, her presence a constant shield over the village. The Vorun realized they were facing not only humans but Larathi who had learned to fight in small ways. Their confidence faltered. They had expected weak targets, but humans had changed the battlefield. As the sun began to set, the Vorun retreated. The first full wave of attacks had been stopped. Humans and Larathi had survived, and the village was still standing. Many had been hurt, and some had died, but the majority of villagers had been protected. Alex, Ryan, and Lena gathered with Saren and the villagers. They were tired, covered in dust and sweat, but alive. Saren looked at the humans with admiration. "Your people, they are amazing," she said. "You fight not for glory, but to save others. I have never seen anything like it." Alex smiled faintly. "We survive by protecting those who cannot protect themselves. That is what it means to be human, especially for those of us from harsh worlds. Courage is not about winning every fight. It is about standing when others cannot, and helping those who need you most." The villagers began to rebuild their homes, helped by humans who showed them simple ways to repair structures and protect them from future attacks. The children laughed quietly as they helped carry small objects. Elders taught the young how to move quietly and safely. The village had changed. They were no longer helpless. They had courage, they had guidance, and they had hope. Saren realized that humans were not only fighters, they were teachers, protectors, and leaders. Their strength was not just in their muscles or weapons, but in their hearts. They inspired others to act, to survive, and to protect. Lareth would not face the Vorun alone again. Humans had come, and they had shown that even in the darkest hour, life could be defended. As night fell, Alex and his team prepared for the next day. They knew the Vorun would return, stronger and more numerous. But they were ready. Humans had trained the Larathi, organized the villages, and shown them the meaning of courage. The Larathi were not soldiers, but they were no longer helpless. And humans were there, standing beside them, ready to fight for life itself. Saren looked up at the stars, feeling a new hope. Humans had come from a distant, harsh world, but they had brought more than strength. They had brought courage, protection, and the belief that even the smallest people could survive when guided and inspired. Lareth would endure, and humans would be part of its defense. Together, they would face whatever came next.